Listen, like right before you're gonna click on this video is probably my most controversial video I've ever made. I've said some stupid things before.
Your location has been compromised.
Ah, f you, my location is up your ass. But I know thousands of people will disagree with my opinion here. But just know that this video, at the end of the day, is my opinion. And I hope instead of people like attacking each other in the comment section, there will be actual conversations with different sides that respect each other. Now, I know that's impossible on the internet, but just know that this video, again, is my opinion. I'm just trying to prevent a war zone down in the comment section, if you get what I'm saying. Like, right off the bat, I don't have a problem with FNAF or Freddy's or the fan base or anything like that. This video is not gonna be your other, oh, this is why FNAF sucks, FNAF cringe. This video is just gonna be how I like the game and I like what it was going for, but I just feel like there's potential. Anyways, that stuff aside, you can click on the video now. FNAF is a series that genuinely like surprised me. How come it's now 2020? We're in the midst of a pandemic. We're on the brink of a world war. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we've been through much crap and we're still talking about a game that came out over 8 years ago. Wait, hold on, let me check. That can be true. Oh my god, wait. Holy shit, it is. Just to put into perspective how old the series is, we've been through 3 presidents. Vine came and went, Musical.ly came and went, TikTok came and, well, like, hopefully it goes soon. The Harambe crap happened 2 years after FNAF's first release. The biggest hit song was... And I was just a teeny weeny 6th grader that just got into middle school surrounded by a ton of morons. Back then, I wasn't really that big of a gamer. My most played games were Roblox and Black Ops 2. I was never really familiar with horror games either. I knew about Slender Man, that's just because of PewDiePie. But one thing I frequently did back then was watch YouTubers all the time. That's what led me to the discovery of an indie horror game as Five Nights at Freddy's. The original FNAF is the reason I left steamy piles of shit in the bed as a kid. At the time, there was no other horror game like that. Instead of throwing you into some exotic or unrealistic setting with guns and open world and jump scares, it sat your defenseless ass in a chair with no guns and no open world. But it still had jump scares. And the thing is though, it worked. With no way to escape or defend yourself, it was up to you, an ordinary night watchman, to skillfully survive each night in the best setting for a horror game ever. Have you heard of liminal spaces? They're basically like these unsettling images of places that look fairly innocent but also somewhat creepy because they evoke a childhood-like nostalgia. Like this water park or the suburb. There's nothing inherently scary about these images. Most people would say these photos remind them of their childhood, but if you were to Photoshop something terrifying in there, boom, all of a sudden you got an indie horror game, which the first Freddy's nailed down. It looks like somewhere we've all been as a kid. Who isn't familiar with a birthday party or crayons or drawings or Chuck E. Cheese like animatronics? Cawthon combined the themes of childhood and nostalgia perfectly in the first game. It's not too unrealistic, security breach, but it grabs inspiration from real-life amusement parks and restaurants to make it easier for the player to connect to, since it looks like every other kid-friendly restaurant. But just like liminal spaces, something is off with the familiarity in FNAF 1's environment, if you aren't blind. Trash laying around, flickering in the West Hall, creepy storage closet, even the lack of a visual environment, like the kitchen for example. You do not see anything but hear various noises, which forces you to make assumptions on what may or may not be there. All of this being in what's supposed to be a child-friendly environment. They all come together to create a unwelcoming environment, of course. Nothing here really feels clean or maintained. Even your own office, which is supposed to be your safe area, doesn't feel that nice. Spider webs, the trash, lack of lighting, you don't feel welcome. Everywhere you look just feels gritty and lonely. It's amazing for what practically is a 2D point-and-click game that there's so much environmental storytelling because, well, like, point-and-click games aren't really known for that. I also don't know where the hell Scott got the audio for the game. I don't know if he recorded it or found some royalty-free sounds, but the game's audio is amazing. It helps enhance the environment tenfold. All of the sounds you hear in FNAF 1 is the actual ambience of the restaurant. The sound of the lights and fan in your office, the music box that occasionally plays in the distance, the sounds of pots and pans in the kitchen, loud footsteps of the animatronics, that one melody Freddy hums that goes like da 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 And especially the glitching sound of the animatronics. There's an amazing video by Scruffy who goes into massive detail about FNAF sound design, specifically the first game, and unlike him, I don't know jack shit about sound design, so I'm just gonna like refrain from saying things that I may or may not know, so I don't come across as an idiot on this section. But just know that some of the later installments did start to rely on these like spooky sound effects that you don't hear in the environment, like that sonar sound that's became that massive meme from FNAF 2. Now, I wasn't around in the 90s, so I couldn't tell you if this is what a actual haunted retro pizzeria looks or sounds like. But the point is what is shown is the idea of what a haunted retro restaurant could look like. And it's not alienating either with futuristic technology or secret underground facilities like, I don't know, it's like fucking Portal 2. Yes, technically the animatronics themselves are high-tech, but it is still within the bounds of probability. There's no clause that can detect when to kill children or self-sentient AI, well, not yet at least. The original animatronics in the first game felt like they were made within the bounds of reality. Of course, spiritual shit aside, I even like how it's inferred that it's not the animatronics that kill you, but the thing that they stuff you in.
If the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head forcefully pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask.
To me at least, that's way more terrifying than a high-tech killing machine that have their own intelligence. Yes, I know being killed by Circus Baby is probably more terrifying than being killed by any of these guys in real life, but that is the issue. She doesn't feel real. And no man, oh, William Afton is a robotics genius that can engineer the entirety of GLaDOS in his basement can or will convince me otherwise. Disclaimer, by the way, I'm not going to be tackling lore in this video that much because that's just a whole different ballpark that I'm afraid to get into. It is okay if you prefer more fantasy elements that FNAF's direction went to. I'm not here to tell you on why your favorite game sucks or why you should stop liking it because it went that direction. But just like Liminal Spaces, something resonated with me about the first game's location environment that made me leave those big cacas in my bed because I couldn't even walk into a Chuck E. Cheese or a Dave & Buster's for that matter because FNAF 1 clicked with my inner dark memories of those places. When FNAF 2 rolled around, I was so hyped seeing that trailer in my subscription feed. I remember clicking play and being greeted by the most badass line in the whole series.
Hello? Hello? Well, if you're hearing this, then chances are you've made a very poor career choice.
Oh boy, I was enthusiastic. I went straight down to the comments and I commented, OMG, that was the most cool thing I've ever heard. OOXD. But then shortly after leaving that awful comment, it hit me. Why is Phone Guy alive when he died on the final night in the last game? That's when I realized that this game isn't safe from having its own inconsistencies either. Then the lore solved it by showing that it's actually a prequel. Okay, I thought, that solved my little complaint. But if it's a prequel then how come this technology didn't carry over to the last game? Why are guys from the last game dead in this? Disclaimer, by the way, I'm not going to be tackling more in this video that much. Obviously, with the second game, something new had to be done to fresh up the game's formula. And that's why so many creative decisions had to be made to differentiate itself from the first game. And let me tell you, I loved it. FNAF 2 is literally what a textbook sequel should be like. It 50-50 splits elements from the old game and adds its own new things into it. The vibe of everything is still the same. Children-themed decor, party rooms, your own desk and fan even come back. But then it makes its own changes. Everything, more specifically your office, is more lit up. Everything is more maintained and clean, which fits in the modern theme of the game. I still believe it would make more sense as a sequel though. Just by the look of the environment, everything seems more accessible to a more playable audience. While the first game's environment pretty much let you know that you are playing a horror game, which, you know, isolated the little kids away from it. The modern design also reflects onto the design of the animatronics. They're more clean, more maintained. They started looking less like animatronics and more like robots by this point. And I believe that was super appropriate because FNAF 2's location always felt more like an amusement park to me. Look at real photos of animatronics at Disney World or something. It's actually terrifying how lifelike they look now. Luckily, they don't move around and literally just stay stationary in one spot because, you know, that would be awful. And just just like amusement parks, there's always that one area that everyday customers aren't meant to see, which in FNAF 2 is parts and service. I feel like this single room was such a great callback to the previous game. Unlike the rest of the second game, everything in here is dirty, the floors, the walls, the mechanical parts lying around. But what I love the most is how dilapidated the old animatronics look. They already looked like shit in FNAF 1, but in here they're way worse. Bonnie is missing their face, Foxy is missing his ear, compared to the new counterparts who look like... But one thing still and does bug me with how modern the restaurant and animatronics look. How come this game is a prequel? I always felt like it was more appropriate that this shit restaurant came before this nice one, but to me it never made sense why it's vice versa. I do understand that, you know, this was a previous location burnt down, they retrofitted the old ones, blah blah blah, but it's just the in-lore explanation just doesn't click with me, because I feel like you would at least see some of these things in FNAF 1, albeit destroyed, and these things look too new to be in FNAF 1 to have been fixed from this. I still love FNAF 2 and I personally think it's the best in the series, but it's impossible to rewrite the story of the first game to fit in with FNAF's 2 narrative, and I think that's what Cawthon was trying to do, and I don't think it successfully worked. Now, a lot of people will disagree on me on that, I will admit that, but I feel like I was so hyped knowing that this was a sequel. I just kind of vibe with the fact that it was the other, and that's when I realized that the whole series was in the hands of what Cawthon wanted to do with it. After FNAF 2, Scott took a biggest risk and made a game so different from the rest. By this time, the series had so much hype around itself. The pressure was on to make something else that isn't the same as the previous 2 games. What would the next location be? Another restaurant? A theme park? The factory where the animatronics were made? So many possibilities to further enhance the lore and setting of FNAF, and ultimately what was chosen was a haunted house. Now, this game gets a lot of hate and is debatedly the weakest game in the franchise. Personally, I agree. I got to night 2 before deleting the game and never touching it again, and still to this day, I did not complete the game even though I replayed to do research for this video, because it just gets so boring. The jump scares are so predictable, and after a couple of them, they get redundant, and there's no fear involved because they are just hallucinations and pose no risk to the player itself, besides Springtrap. The environment itself kind of just makes me feel like FNAF 3 is a fan game. I get it, in lore, someone built this whole place using parts from the old restaurants, and I'm not dismissing the lore of this game, but this location just felt too similar to the last 2 games. FNAF 1 to FNAF 2 was such a big jump in terms of its location. If FNAF 2 you at least had vents to spice it up, but in FNAF 3, vents, hallways, etc., it's the same crap from before. The environment did not feel scary because it was artificially built to be creepy because it's a horror attraction. In the last 2 games, it was unintentionally terrifying because it's supposed to be a fun, happy place, but it's not. You kind of just feel like you're working an ordinary day at this horror attraction instead of night shift at pizza place gone wrong. I would have been okay if it was a spin-off title, but I feel like it does not add much to the lore besides, oh, the main bad guy is in this suit. Oh, these suits can kill you. Oh, the spirits die because of a fire. It's like things like that could have been shown in the mini-games of FNAF 2 instead of having a whole game made about. This game is when the downfall of Five Nights at Freddy's started to take effect for me, and I didn't like it. But that's not it. This was also when the first wave of FNAF plushies came around. At first, I thought it was okay, but then the kids got a hold of it.
Alright guys, you ready to go in the pool? That's insubordination! Yeah!
You almost shot me.
Ooh, this is a sweet bed! Ooh,
I thought it was odd that a game about little kids being murdered started to become the kids' most favorite game ahead of Roblox. How come 15-year-old me was absolutely terrified about the game while my back then 3-year-old cousin would surround himself with these things? Oh yeah, marketing, and also the fact that I was a pussy. The first line of plushies and merch were great. The design of them were directly taken from the in-universe plushies in the second game, so if you wanted to, Freddy Fazbear's Entertainment could be a real thing. A lot of FNAF's then mature fanbase bought them out, and they quickly became a collector's item. A lot of the oh look, best gifts for children 2015 FNAF plushies. Funk, Sanshi, and a couple other toy companies see this massive success, and they put the FNAF merch production in overdrive. Okay, so we make every character from the first game. Boom, success. Now on to FNAF 2. Boom, success. FNAF 3. Boom, success. FNAF 4. Boom, success. They release new waves every time a new game comes out of all the characters, and the kids at Target love them. But wait, there hasn't been a FNAF game in months. Oh, let's just recolor plushies we already made and re-release them. The commercialization of FNAF may have what brought the series in a lot of money, but it's also what decreased the age of the player base. I'm not saying that if you have these that you're a child, I'm not implying that, but some of these are cool, not gonna lie. But how many of y'all are actually buying Freddy onesies or Freddy backpacks or FNAF water tattoos. For a game that's whole premise is dead children corpses rotting inside of these animatronics, it's sure what parents should buy for their kids. I get it, some parts of the fan base are younger and they had appeal to that, but I see a ton of kids play GTA Online. I don't see Rockstar making GTA back to school backpacks with Trevor plushies because the main theme of GTA isn't meant for little kids, and neither was FNAF at first, but then eventually the series was literally taken to a family-friendly horror experience. What's family-friendly about any of this? I shit you not, I'll put my YouTube channel on the line for this, but there's still FNAF animations that terrify me to this day. Do you really want your kids to buy this, then play this, then if they don't get spooked by that, they watch this? I just feel like the Five Nights at Freddy's that Funko and all these companies want to envision is not what Five Nights at Freddy's is. If I could, I would absolutely get a gory, like mutilated FNAF Freddy head and put it up right here. Parents would see that and go like, oh wow, FNAF, that is a terrifying game. I should not buy any plushies for my kids. Instead of little Timmy's gonna love this thing, despite in the universe there's like dead bodies inside of it. I watched this video by this content creator. His name is Dags. He's very underrated, and he made an absolutely banger video on the problem of horror games aimed at kids. You should go watch it after this because he literally took the words out of my mouth on how I feel about that topic, especially FNAF, and made a great video about it. But in short, I feel like if you take away the horror from something that's supposed to be horrifying, then you've lost my interest. After FNAF 3, FNAF 4 was teased. Yeah, I know, I forgot we were even talking about like the main games in the franchise. FNAF 4 was teased as the final chapter in the last game in the series, and it should have been that. The promotion art was genuinely terrifying. This is the most hyped I've been since FNAF 2's announcement, and don't worry, I didn't leave a stupid comment this time, but it was something new. This was the first game that had the withered / nightmare design of the animatronics, which the games after this one used a lot. And after playing FNAF 4, I believe if this game came out after FNAF 2, then we would have the most perfect trilogy in video game history. It combines elements from FNAF 1, 2, no, we're not talking about you anymore, and puts you into a brand new location with brand new mechanics. You have the two doors surrounding you like in FNAF 1. The middle area you need to check just like in FNAF 2, but you're only restricted to your running and hearing. I feel like this is the first game where you genuinely needed skill. You have unlimited stamina and flashlight. What excuses can you make when you die? Foxy got you because you didn't shine your light on him? I feel like the first 3 games were missing something that this game has. Even as I'm recording this video and writing the script, I do not know what it is. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me. There's not many bad things I can say about FNAF 4. It has what I loved about the first 2 games and does it even better. I love how you need to actually listen with your own real life ears, and that's what's decided if you get jump scared or not. Everything is quiet in the game, and I know it's a design choice since this game relies a lot on your hearing, but the lack of music or sound effects is what makes this game different than the rest for me. You hear crickets, dog barking, the wind, it's familiar. Even the 6 a.m. timer is the sound of a house alarm clock. Somehow it's all relaxing, but you can't get too comfortable because this whole game is literally you cannot sleep now, there are monsters nearby. I can't really talk many negative things about FNAF 4. I think it does what FNAF 3 wanted to do, but even better. New location, new engaging story, new mechanics. To me, this was a beacon of hope for the franchise. I was hoping that the rest of the games would stay dark and gritty and terrifying, and that we would get so much more fucked up things like its Modern Warfare. Sister Location is beloved by many. Some say it's the best in the series. With its consistent story and lore building, shocking new environments, shocking new characters, limited but brand new WASD movement, it ditched the old school vibe of the older games in favor of futuristic fantasy setting. You're now in a futuristic bunker with practically full-fledged robots with advanced AI, with everything feeling more sci-fi. To me, Five Nights at Freddy's was always a realistic fiction game. Yes, I know a lot of the shit in the game's pre-Sister Location is unrealistic, but it's still within the bounds of possibilities. I talked a lot about this in the earlier video, but as soon as the reality on that this could be an actual situation going on somewhere in the world was taken out with the introduction to spirits and haunting, I kind of just lost so much interest in the game's story. I know to a lot of people it's the opposite. That's when they think the lore was at its peak. But a lot of the phone calls in FNAF 1 and FNAF 2 made it sound like that the problem that's going on is the animatronics, something faulty. Imagine how terrified you'd be if you got a phone call and you're like, oh wait, hello?
But try to avoid eye contact with any of the animatronics tonight if you can. Someone may have tampered with their facial recognition systems. We're not sure. But the characters have been acting very unusual.
Like, I'd be terrified if that was real, but if someone's like, oh, it's spirits, like, it sounds scary. And I know that this was always hinted since even the first game, but back then it was like the Wild West. We didn't know what to think. We didn't know that FNAF 1 or FNAF 2. We thought FNAF 2 was a sequel, blah, blah, blah. I still think that. I still hope that, but, like, you can't dismiss the lore. The idea that there's some big fucking big brain genius that knows how to make a robot that can scoop up and kill you, I kind of didn't like that. And I know people like that, it creates a great villain, but I don't think the story needed a villain. I don't think it needed any of that. I think if it just stayed a company situation, robots are just screwed up and killing people, that would have been great. And I know that element is still in the story, but there's so much emphasis on characters, and I didn't feel like it should have been a personal story. And that's when I realized that FNAF I knew and connected to so much was not the same anymore. It did not have that charm. I can appreciate what it went for, but it's not for me. And I know a lot of hardcore people are going to shred me in the comments for saying this, but it's just how I feel. And there's other people who feel this way as well, and be it maybe not too as extreme as how I feel about it, but there's fan games like FNAF Plus, which is a remaster of the first game that just makes everything more terrifying. It's more gritty, it's more dark, it's more gory. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that are kind of based in reality of scary training manuals or VHS tapes that just specifically focus on the lore of what the first game brought, because people feel like that's what the game should have been. And if you like the new Spirit stuff, that's okay. That's totally okay. Nothing is wrong with that. Again, this video is just me speaking my mind. I'm probably rambling, and again, it's not gonna, oh fuck, I'm canceled. I think that's what's beautiful about Five Nights at Freddy's. Cawthon created a universe. Each single game has a different aesthetic. If you want to focus a lot of your fan game on the first game, then you can do it. Or if you love the shit out of Sister Location, you can do it. Personally, I can't vibe with the sci-fi things, and some people like to keep it the old familiar thing because that is what is horrifying. That's what I was speaking about earlier on in the video. But that's the beauty of everything, is you can do what you want with the series. I can like the older games, rant about the newer ones, like the newer ones, rant about the older ones. And the fact that this universe is so deep and established and focuses on many themes of childhood, of murder, of spirits, of sci-fi, of robotics, animatronics, it's truly amazing. Yes, it did lose its charm in the process, but it gained something else way bigger. I was gonna dedicate this part of the video to talk about Pizzeria Simulator. Just I'll say this, it's okay. It's a tycoon game. I don't see it any special, but Security Breach to me is the nail in the coffin and is the reason I will not touch FNAF any longer. Now, Security Breach is a big risk. It is open world. It is like nothing like we've seen before, but I don't think the way the aesthetics are, I don't like the fact that Steam literally says it's a family-friendly horror experience. Why does FNAF need to be family-friendly? Yes, it will bring in more money. Kids love this stuff, but it just alienates an entirely different part of the fan base. I also hate how it tries to tie in elements of the previous games. It just feels so out of universe for everything. But if there's anything to take away from this video, it's not that, you know, I want to like separate a majority of my fan base because, you know, everyone likes FNAF, but it's just that a lot of games can change, and the change can be for the better. A lot of people may like it, a lot of people may not like it, and I'm one of those people that are left in the old boat, and that's fine. I do try to learn about the new games and see why I like it, but to me it just never clicks with me. I never seen anyone else talk about this. But in conclusion, before I get canceled, Five Nights at Freddy's is great. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Bye.